Tampa, Florida. I'm Jack Doles. This is Chris Hagan. We've also got JB Buno and Jarrett Payton joining us all week long. We're going to be live from Tampa, Super Bowl City, and we had to move indoors today, Chris, because you saw that blue tarp over the thing. It is so windy out there. We were afraid you were going to blow over.
Exactly. I mean, we get the two extremes. Last year I'm getting sunburned in Miami, and now we're getting frozen out here. I wore the Florida shirt. I'm ready for all this. We got the helmets. We're supposed to be outside, but as you saw, the tarp, it's windy. What happened was, Jack, I was bragging yesterday on the social media about, look at this, it's 73 degrees. How about this? Everybody said, hey, karma's coming at you, and here it is right now today.
Yeah, and we didn't tell Chris we were going to be indoors right away, so he put on his SPF 1000.
I'm prepared.
So I don't think that light's going to be a problem for Chris today.
You never know, Jack. When you talk about me, I can get sunburned going to check the mail. So we're going to be careful. But you know what? Rain or shine, cold, hot, whatever, Super Bowl is almost here. Big game bound, and we know the two teams that are ready to rock and roll.
And what a strange atmosphere, isn't it? You've been to, what is it, your 12th?
12th Super Bowl,
12th
yeah.
Super Bowl. This is my third. And usually there's just a beehive of activity, even Monday. Last year we did this show on Radio Row. Radio Row looks nothing like it did because of COVID. So here we are at WFLA. Most of the week, as long as it's not too windy, we're going to be on this deck with a beautiful sight line of the city of downtown Tampa, the river. But today, here we are indoors.
I can tell you what, though, a lot of Buccaneer fans have made the trip here for the Super Bowl, which should be no surprise since for the first time ever, there's a home team hosting the Super Bowl. So usually you go around and you see the cornucopia. You see all 32 teams represented, but a lot of fans not traveling, obviously. So it was about 98% Buck jerseys, Brady jerseys, Bucs fans, and that's the way it should be. You've earned the right. The Bucs had to play 3 road games just to get here. Only the 5th team ever to win 3 road games to make it to the Super Bowl, and now they get to be, hey, they don't have to worry about traveling here. They're here. They're sleeping in their own beds, and they've got certainly a lot of fans around town.
And think about those road games they won. In New Orleans against Drew Brees, in Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of the league this year, most likely. So they really earned their way to Tampa to play in this game in their own stadium.
And fun fact, of those 4 previous teams that had to win 3 road games to make it to the Super Bowl, 3 of those 4 went on to win the Super Bowl. So it has been done before. It's not unprecedented, but definitely unprecedented to be playing the Super Bowl in your own stadium. And it's going to be fun all week. We've got all kind of guests we'll be bringing in to talk about the big game, talk about, these matchups, a matchup for the ages when you think about it, quarterback. So many good things, and we're just getting started here today.
Yeah, and those 3 teams, though, they didn't have to face Patrick Mahomes. One of the things you're going to notice on our show this week, all week long, is the playbook. We've used it on Big Game Bound, but JB has built up the graphics, so you're going to hear a lot about today's show. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, the evolution of the quarterback position, and which quarterback, that's going to be a good debate. Which quarterback would you rather have Sunday? And we'll even take it to which quarterback, if you could have any quarterback in the history of this game, who would you want playing quarterback for you on Sunday? And so you see that lineup. We'll talk about the Lions will be our team focus, but we got a lot to get at.
And I think that it looks cool to have that on the side of the screen, but I think JB realized last year that you and I just get off topic and start rambling. So he's like, hey, let's try to keep it on topic, and for the folks watching, they'll know at some point you're going to get to that eventually.
We won't leave until that ref history one is actually checked off the box.
And we're not the only ones bringing you stuff all week long. The 3rd member of our team, he's usually here with us, but he's Jarrett Payton. He does some great stuff. He's going to be joining us all week. Unfortunately, not with us. He's up there in Chicago, which I think has the same weather right about now.
Yeah, as Michigan. But normally Jarrett is at every Super Bowl.
Right.
But this year, because of COVID, they're going to hand out the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award virtually.
Yeah, it's a huge honor, probably the most prestigious thing you can take in the league. And you see the guys that have the special patches when they've won that award, and it's something that's really an honor, something they don't take lightly. And the Payton family will hear from Jarrett. How about right now? He's up there in Chicago, and he's standing by. He's got a very special guest, JP.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm here with Pro Football Hall of Famer and Canadian Football Hall of Famer and one of my football idols, Warren Moon. How you doing, sir?
I am doing great, Jared, man. It's great to see you. It's great to talk to you. I'm glad you're healthy and doing well during this pandemic, and really looking forward to this Super Bowl coming up here next week. It should be a great one.
I know. I just got chills when you said that. It's amazing. Football fans are in for a treat for this Super Bowl on Sunday. Listen, we have the seasoned vet and Tom Brady playing in his 10th Super Bowl and going for his 7th title. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, the young gun, who is going for back-to-back titles. Let's start with Brady, though. His career, Warren, it kind of speaks for itself when you look at the Super Bowl appearances, the Super Bowl titles, MVPs, all that stuff. But how impressed are you with the job that he's done year one in Tampa at the age of 43?
Yeah, there's no question he did an unbelievable job when he was in New England for all those years, winning all those Super Bowls, going to all those championship games and Super Bowls, not winning them all, but just being there is an accomplishment in the National Football League. But now the question was, was it because he was in New England did he go to all those Super Bowls, or was it because of how great a player he is? Well, I think he's showing everybody how great a player he is by going to a Tampa team that hadn't done anything here recently, but they were a very talented roster. And it was just a matter of having that right leadership in place and he being that leader to guide these guys to what it takes to be a champion. And it just shows that one player in football can make that big a difference if he's good enough. And I think Tom's influence on this football team has shown why he's one of the most greatest players to ever play the game, not only as a quarterback, but as a leader. And he's got his team in the championship game just one step away from putting on another ring.
And on the flip side, you got the young kid, Patrick Mahomes, who, since he came into the league has been lighting it up by storm. And his skill set, Warren, is one of the things that is crazy to watch, but it also is like out of this world. The fact when you watch him that it seems like every single game he's figuring out more about himself and how to take his game to the next level. What stands out to you when you see him and watch him on the football field?
Well, that's the scary thing about this kid, Jarrett, is that he's only in his 3rd year and he's already done all these things. He's been an MVP of the league. He's been a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion, and he's still figuring out, how well or how good he can be going forward. So it's going to be scary to see this guy when he's about 27, 28 years old, just getting into his prime on what he will have already accomplished and then what he can accomplish going forward. But his skill set, like you talked about, is kind of unmatched. We haven't seen anybody who can really throw the football like he does, from all the different platforms, different footwork, different arm angles. It doesn't matter. Throwing with his right hand, sometimes with his left hand. I mean, he does it all. We haven't seen that maybe since Aaron Rodgers in his younger days, but I think he's even a step ahead of Aaron Rodgers. So this kid is very, very talented. But what impresses me more is his leadership skills for a guy that's so young. He really has this team, in control as far as they go as he goes. And he is a leader on and off the football field by the way he carries himself. He makes everybody else's game go up to another level. There's no question they're a very talented roster. That has a whole lot to do with this. And he has a great leader among leaders in Andy Reid and his head coach. But I think they just have a combined, really good chemistry going on there in Kansas City with their head coaching level and the coaches on his staff being excellent, the roster being very excellent, and then your most important player being one of the best players in the league. So they've got a really good chemistry going on right now in Kansas City.
Well, to me, I'm looking really forward to seeing how this Bucs defense can go up against this KC offense. But the Chiefs, they head into the matchup a little banged up on their offensive line. But we saw that Bucs front seven get after Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Is there any way that you see that front seven being able to slow down this KC offense?
Yeah, that's the thing that really concerns me. When you lose your left tackle, and they're going to lose Eric Fisher, their left tackle, for this game, that kind of worries you, especially when you've got one of the strengths of the Tampa Bay defense is their front four. And then you saw the pressure that they put on Aaron Rodgers. I think they sacked him 4 times in the game, harassed him a bunch of other times. But I think Andy Reid, having 2 weeks to prepare for this game now, will know exactly what he needs to do to kind of help whoever the backup left tackle is, whether he's going to slide the line there most of the time, whether he's going to chip that defensive end over there, Pierre-Paul with a back sometimes, put a tight end over there. I think he'll do different things and also try and move the pocket around to make sure it's not always a drop back, that Patrick's not always in the same place. And I think that's what makes Andy Reid so important in this situation. Him and Eric Bieniemy, they're going to be very innovative in the way they design this game plan to take advantage of that weakness that they have.
All right, when you look at this matchup, though, Warren, which team do you like being able to hoist that Lombardi trophy on Sunday?
You know, the thing, like I said earlier, concerns me is their left tackle, Eric Fisher, being out to maybe allow more pressure to be put on Patrick Mahomes. But I just think this kid is extra special, and he'll find a way. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both of these teams have been averaging over 32, 33 points a game over the last 8 games of the season. I think Kansas City wins a high-scoring game. It'll be something like 35-30, but it'll be a great, entertaining football game, as most of the Super Bowls are. But I think Kansas City has just a little bit more firepower.
Man, I think about it all the time. I think it's an amazing for football fans to be able to see this matchup. I want to go to you, though, now, because we talked about those quarterbacks, and we're starting to see a change in the evolution of the quarterback position in the NFL. And I go back to when you came into the league, first going to Canada, then coming to the NFL, to the Oilers. People talk about you, and I remember my dad. I said that I wanted to play football my junior year, and he was like, "All right, sit down." And he's like, "I'm going to show you some film." And he took out some old NFL films on the VHS, popped it in. You're the first person to come up, and he's like, "I want you to sit and watch." And you know, for me growing up, it was like, okay, I'm going to watch Warren Moon. And then also I'm going to maybe sit in here and watch some new quarterbacks as well. And I did. I started to try to figure out how to put the game together in my head. And so people talk about you as one of those great quarterbacks. But they say Warren Moon, he changed, especially for black quarterbacks, he changed the landscape. How does that make you feel as a former player and a quarterback in that league?
You know, that's something, Jarrett, I'm most proud of, that I was able to help play a small part in making change at that position for African Americans, because there was a long time where we just weren't getting those opportunities. And I felt like the only way that we were going to get them is once we did get, or if I got an opportunity, or say Doug Williams during the same time that I played, or Randall Cunningham, the three of us played the game at a very high level. Doug winning a Super Bowl MVP, Randall being, just an MVP one year, and then myself with the consistency of, being an All-Pro every year. Those are the things that change the mindset of owners and general managers and coaches, that, hey, these guys can play the game at a high level. So maybe we need to start giving more opportunities to these other younger guys coming up. And I think that's what you've seen happen over the last 20 years. And that's something I'm really, really proud of, that I helped change a mindset and gave these guys more opportunities, which is all we've ever been asking for, is not giving anything, just giving an opportunity. And then if we're good enough, we make a team and we move on. And if we're not, we go do something else. But the opportunity, if you can't do anything without the opportunity, and they've been given more opportunities, and they are flourishing because of it.
Well, it's not that often you get a chance to talk to GOATs that have gold jackets. And listen, Warren, it was a pleasure to be able to talk with you today. Thank you for giving me some time, and look forward to talking to you down the line.
Jarrett, always great talking to you, man. You're doing a great job, and give my best to the family, and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Great conversation. And let's bring him in live right now. Jarrett Payton, the third member of our team. He's
there he
our
is.
GOAT. Look at him, always smiling.
You know what's funny is, I'm going to see if Jarrett knows the answer to this trivia question. I'm going to put you on the spot. Earlier in the show, I said that this is the 5th time a team had to win 3 road games and then go to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And I said 3 of those previous 4 have won that Super Bowl. Only one of those teams lost after winning 3 road games. Now, Jared, think about why I would ask you that. Why would I ask you that? Who's the one team that won 3 road games en route to the Super Bowl and then lost? He's thinking. He's got to unmute.
Jared, we got to unmute you, Jared.
You got to unmute before you give the wrong answer again. Let's see. Let's see what you got here.
Gave the right answer. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots when they had to play the Bears. That was they had to. That was a rough one, and you're going up against especially that defense, that 46 defense that was amazing that season.
Now let me tell you what. We don't rehearse, as you can probably tell from watching the show. I did not feed him that question. He knew it on his own. It was the '85 Bears. The Patriots won 3 road games. They got popped in a big way. So, yeah, congrats to you, Jarrett, for nailing that question when you had no idea it was coming.
I'm sure he would have known that anyway, but it may have had something to do with the fact that his dad was on that team.
Well, maybe that helped. Jarrett, what's awesome is football has meant so much to your life and your family's life, but when you get a chance to have a conversation like that with a guy like Warren Moon, who has done so much for the game and for the African-American community, I mean, do you get chills and you start going, wow, this guy, he's a living piece of football history?
Yeah, I do. Anytime that I get a chance to be able to talk with, some of these legends, especially the guys that are, wearing gold jackets, it's special, you guys. These are the people that I grew up watching. And like I was telling Warren, when, my dad, talked to me about playing football, that was one of the tapes that he put on. He dusted off one of those old NFL film tapes and put it in and said, you got to watch this guy and see how he played the game. And so to be able to get their knowledge when it comes to the game of football, and especially at this point in this Super Bowl, we have two great quarterbacks, one that's 43, that's going for his 1 millionth Super Bowl championship, and then you have the young guy who is the young gun. And so just to be able to get Warren Moon's, take on everything in this game, and both those guys, it's pretty special. But listen, you don't get a chance to talk to GOATs every single day. And so when you do, you got to be able to use your time wisely. And that's what I was trying to do in that interview with Mr. Moon.
Well, we'll get on the GOAT and the baby GOAT in just a second here, but I want to circle back to your Warren Moon interview. He talked about, the evolution of black quarterbacks. And I remember when Doug Williams led Washington to that first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. At that point, the question was, could a black quarterback have success? How ridiculous is that question and argument now when you're looking at what's going on in the NFL now, Jarrett?
I think it's crazy when we start to really, break it down, you guys. I mean, this is something that's been going on for a long period of time. But, in this day and age, in this game of football, we start to see that it's changing right now with the evolution of the quarterbacks. And we're seeing a lot more black quarterbacks that are taking the reins of these organizations. And so you got to love to be able to see how these guys are being able to show that not only being athletic, but also being able to decipher the game and break it down and be able to make all the throws, know all your reads. And I think, a lot of people look back in the day and said these guys couldn't do it. And Warren Moon he set the table and kind of broke down barriers for a lot of these quarterbacks that we're seeing now, especially all these young quarterbacks that are in the league, especially on the AFC side.
When you think about the quarterback situation, you go ahead, Jack. You had an insightful question.
Well,
put the pressure on him.
Yeah. No, I'm freezing. No, but one of our questions here now, of course, is this quarterback matchup.
Right.
You got Mahomes, you got Brady, and this is for both of you guys. Who would you rather have? You're the GM right now. Which of these quarterbacks do you want to lead your team? Jarrett, you're first.
I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. I think it's this day and age when we look at the way that offenses are set up, you guys, it's all widespread, and you got to be able to be mobile in the game of football now. And listen, I give all the credit to Tom Brady and what he's been able to do in his career. It's been amazing. You don't win that many Super Bowls or make that many Super Bowl appearances if you're not great. But nowadays, that double threat to be able to run and also pass, I think that's what we're seeing out of Mahomes. And so, he, to me, is like that new-aged Aaron Rodgers, who can not only beat you outside the pocket, but also just break it down. And when pressure's coming, that's when Mahomes is at his best. And you got to love that fact about his game.
Yeah, when you think about that, Jared, you talk about, this is almost like a passing of the torch, if you will. You have Brady, kind of the classic drop-back guy. He's not going to beat you with his feet. He is, though, if you look, he can be really slippery. He can slide and glide in the pocket and make sure he doesn't take a big hit. He can still get rid of the ball. But, yeah, that added dimension of, Mahomes isn't just going to avoid a sack. He's going to make a play after avoiding that sack. And it's a dimension that is huge. But we're thinking about, obviously, if you talk long-term, the next 5 to 10 years. Who knows? Maybe Brady still is playing in 5 to 10 years, but that's going to be Mahomes. But for this particular game, I like the idea if it's a fourth quarter, one-score game, and you need one drive to go kick a game-winning field goal. I wouldn't sell Brady short just because somehow he has that it factor, that magic factor. And if this is a close game, like a lot of folks are saying it will be, I like Brady come crunch time. This is his 10th Super Bowl. Imagine that, 10. I like him. If there's one, Jared's already saying no here. Jared,
no.
Tell me why Tom Brady can't go out there and lead a game-winning drive like he's done 111 million times before.
Okay, all right. Listen, I understand that. I understand that part of his game. He's done that. It's on his resume. I'm all for that. But the one thing that we have seen so far in this young man's career in Patrick Mahomes is that he's never out of a game. It doesn't matter what the score is. I was at that Super Bowl last year sitting in those seats, and I was sitting and watching going, there is no way. And not only can he take over a game, but he's going to make that play. He's got ice in his veins to be able to make that big time play to get his team in position to win. Listen, I think Brady can do it as well. I think the young gun has got something that Brady never had. I mean, we know cerebrally, he's amazing up top. He knows the game. He can move in and out of the pocket with his feet and know what it feels like when he feels pressure. This young man, Patrick Mahomes, I think he's on the cusp of doing the exact same thing Brady did, especially in the AFC. We might see, if the Bills can't figure out a way and the Ravens can't figure out a way, we might see Patrick Mahomes, and we might be talking about him and doing big game bound 10 years down the line and talking about him the same way that we're talking about Tom Brady right now.
I'm going to give you an answer that will change most likely in 5 years.
Okay.
Because I think Mahomes is on that cusp. It's an incredible league. But he's in his 10th Super Bowl, and he's won 6 already. Right now I want, Brady of 5 years ago, but that wasn't the question. Is who do you want in this Super Bowl? Either one. I'm comfortable with either one. But, if I could have Mahomes in my backfield right now, the way he's playing right now, what do you think, JB?
Guys, we have our Facebook audience that's joining us.
Mike Evans is as humble as he is competitive. And he does not typically like
to that's coming up next. We have our Facebook audience coming your way here in just a moment. Hey, to our Facebook audience, welcome. We've been running an interactive poll here on WFLA's Facebook page, and to our Facebook page audience really joining us from across the country. Check this out here, you guys. We're going to publish this here on screen, and look at this. If we publish this button here, we click on this, you're going to see it here populate on screen. Which quarterback would you want for just this Sunday? 63% Patrick Mahomes, 36% Tom Brady, 1%, 25 folks saying Jack Doles.
That's my wife.
Jack, you got my vote, Jack.
Yeah, no, I'll send it back to you guys here. And remember, we're completely unbiased here at WFLA, completely unbiased. Send it back to you guys.
Hey, Jarrett, when you think about, it's all about Sunday. I know how players are. They look at the next game. They're not thinking long term. But do you think some of these milestones and records that Brady has, do you think Mahomes can make a real run at? But obviously he plays at a high level, but being able to do that over the course of time, and I mean, he just got, a $500 million contract. Is that something, will there be any motivation for him to go out there and chase that carrot down the road?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen so far, it seems like that's kind of his driving force. He understands the position that he's in right now, and early in his career, having the success that he's already had, I think he sees it. People, he hears social media, hears people talking about that he's the next guy. He's the face of the league right now. Anytime that you turn something on, I know you see Aaron Rodgers on stuff, but, the league is banking on seeing Patrick Mahomes be successful, just the way that, Brady was more like the villain, you guys, right? And everybody, didn't like him. But this young kid in Patrick Mahomes, every kid wants to be like him. People love seeing him. They see his smiles. Yeah, I think he's ready for it too. I really do. I think he's ready for it. The big thing is that over time, rosters are going to change. And right now, the roster, the way that it's set up for Kansas City, they are run and gun. They are like Golden State of the NBA, of the NFL right now, when they used to have KD. And so they got to figure out a way to be able to keep all these guys around. And can you do that? But if not, it's going to take Andy Reid to be able to figure out how to put those pieces together, kind of like how Belichick did and has done over his career of setting them up to be successful. But Tom Brady never had this kind of firepower that you look at Patrick Mahomes has. So if they can figure out a way to keep replacing that, if they can't keep it all there, I think that's going to be the deciding factor of how successful and how many championships he has in the long run.
Brady never had that athleticism that Mahomes has. That's just freakish and so fun to watch. He is, without question for me, the most fun quarterback ever to watch. The funnest player for me ever to watch, Walter Payton.
No doubt about that. And the one thing Brady's had to overcome his entire career, I know we've all seen it, it's the picture of him in his underwear at the Combine. How many times have we seen that picture? And it looks like Brady was the only guy they ever took a picture of in his underwear, because that's the only picture they have. They always go, look at this guy. I think that's been his motivation his entire career. He didn't have the guns like you, Jarrett, still doesn't. But, yeah, that to me is something that every night when he goes to sleep, he thinks about that underwear picture and says, I got to go out there and prove him wrong again.
Think about that quarterback room when he was at Michigan, too. You had Brian Griese, you had Jarrett, you had Tom Brady. And then, the first-string guy, and now I'm running a blank on him. I can't believe it, but ended up playing baseball.
Drew Henson.
And Henson was, if he would have stuck around for his senior year, likely the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. He was amazing. And Brady comes out of that room, and he has the career he's had. It's incredible.
But as Jarrett said, it comes down to you have to have the ability, you have to have that desire and that fire that keeps you going. And then this is the ultimate team game. It's all about that roster around you. So at the end of the day, I do think, based on supporting cast, I think Mahomes for this Sunday is the guy I would want, because so many pieces in place in and around that offense.
They got some pretty.
Team focus here. We're talking the big trade that everyone in the NFL is talking about. Stafford-Goff, Lions, Rams. Man, I'm dying to hear from JP on this, and Chris and Jack. I'll send things over to you. The biggest trade in the NFL, and it could have a ripple effect across the league here too.
I'm sure it will, and this was just something the Lions absolutely had to do. This is a team that the first thing they had to do this offseason was change GMs and coaches, and their first move was to unload the most popular player in Detroit, athlete in any sport, but they got a great haul for him. 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick in this year's draft, and Jared Goff. So will the Lions be good next year? Absolutely not. But this is a sign to me, as somebody who's had to follow the Lions for a long time now, over 30 years, that maybe they finally have the compass pointed in the right direction.
Well, this is the first domino to fall, and this doesn't affect just those 2 teams. You look around the league, and you have teams like the Bears there in Chicago, Jarrett. You have the 49ers. You have the Colts back in Indianapolis. A lot of fan bases and teams thought, wow, that's all we need. Let's go get Stafford. He's announced he wants to get retired, and that put Detroit in a sensational situation. Okay, come to me. Bring me your best offer. And they took 7 or 8 different offers, I know, from those teams I mentioned, and they get a steal in this, I think, as far as rebuilding. But then on the other hand, Jarrett, what does this mean for the Rams? Goff took him to a Super Bowl. Is this the piece to take him to the Super Bowl and maybe hoist that Lombardi trophy? A lot of pressure being put on Matthew Stafford. And certainly the Rams are saying, hey, this is a win now. Forget about tomorrow's situation.
Well, yeah, I think, look at both organizations, right? And Jack, especially when it comes to the Lions, they've always had their issues. Matthew Stafford, though, has been one of those guys, even when that team has been bad, he has been able to carry them. He comes out to play. I love his toughness for both teams. I think it was a good trade, but I really like it for the Rams. I was just talking about it. I just really think that the Rams are getting a quarterback that really suits what they need and fits what they need. And defensively, we know how good they are defensively. So it is win now. But we all saw the writing on the wall just by listening to the organization talk about Jared Goff and, what they thought about him. And I think now you got a quarterback that is set to be able to play, who to me has always been, he's had that Hall of Fame pedigree. He just never really been on good teams. So now this is his opportunity to be able to shine. And with Sean McVay offensively, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can dial up and now have a quarterback that is capable. On the flip side, though, I still think the Lions are getting a quarterback that is still kind of raw. I think everybody is counting out Jared Goff, but dude, let's see what he can do. Now the pressure's on him. He knows that people doubted him. Let's see if he can take it. Can he be that? I'm not going to say Mahomes, but how we were just talking about with Mahomes getting all that money and having an opportunity and to be great. This is his opportunity now to be great. Go show the fans in Detroit that you can play. And I still think he's still raw. He's in his 20s, and I think that's a good sign for them in the next couple of years. Can he, in the next 2 years, figure it out. If he can't, then you look at it and go, okay, we'll move on from there. But also as well, they got to figure out getting a young quarterback in that organization as well.
Look, Rams fans, if you want to know about Matt Stafford, just look up the mic'd up when the Lions played the Browns a couple of years ago. He is the toughest son of a gun in the NFL. He's played for a terrible organization for quite a while. He's had head coach change, GM change, offensive coordinator change, like, you change your shirts.
I need to, yeah, apparently.
I mean, it's nothing but change in Detroit for him. And Stafford he never complained. He showed up to work. He gave it everything. His teammates loved him. I think he's got so much respect around the league. And that's why they were able, for a guy who's in his 30s now.
Just like 32 years old, so there's still plenty of tread on that tire.
He's still got tread, but he's got a lot of tread on him. But so usually you don't see this kind of a haul, but they got 2 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick and Goff in return. I think that shows you how much the league thinks of Matt Stafford.
I'll be curious to see what happens, maybe like a Ryan Tannehill situation. People said he was done. He was a first-round pick. Maybe Goff can have some similar success as he moves up to Detroit.
Yeah, and he's had great success in Detroit. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2016, but I think, he just keeps – the organization has been in quicksand. And for, it's the one playoff win in the Super Bowl era. One. That's very difficult to do.
That's only one more than us.
Right.
And we don't even play. JB, what do you got for us?
Man, you know who's not getting traded? Jarrett Payton. We're going to see him tomorrow here, everybody, on Big Game Bound. Can't wait to have JP back on the program, man. We have a lot of great stuff coming all week long. So, JP, we're going to – because we have our next guest coming in the Zoom room here. Hey, full disclosure here, guys. We are adjusting and adapting to the pandemic just like any other television station or any other broadcast company in the country. So we're going to say farewell to Jarrett Payton. You know who's also not going to get traded, you guys, is Mike Evans, especially with what he means to the Buccaneers community, what he means to Tampa Bay. Our own WFLA's Gabrielle Shirley has a story that you just got to see from a short time ago about a family that was touched when Mike Evans reached out to them.
Mike Evans is as humble as he is competitive, and he does not typically like to comment on what he does for other people behind the scenes. Mike, I'm sorry to blow your cover, but this gesture meant the world to a grieving family in St. Petersburg.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I heard Michael was a big fan of mine, and it's humbling to hear that. I hope to make him proud.
That letter and a signed football arrived unexpectedly.
I just broke down in tears.
To the Schiff family.
It was such a thoughtful gesture.
From number 13.
Mike Evans was Michael's favorite player.
Ned Schiff's 19-year-old son, Michael, died in a car accident in October.
Michael was an amazing young man. He had a heart of gold. He just, loved people. And he always would have you laughing, sometimes with him, sometimes at him. But, yeah, great sense of humor.
Michael was a freshman at the University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg. He graduated from Shorecrest Prep in St. Petersburg, which is where he met Brett Daniele.
Immediately, we hit it off over sports. We were in the same fantasy league. Every single year, he would take Mike Evans in the first and second round.
When Mike came about, he just locked into him. And probably because of how he played and how competitive he was, and knowing Michael, he does his research on things. He probably found out what a great human being he was.
Evans started the Mike Evans Family Foundation about 3 years ago to support children from low-income families. He has made multiple donations through his foundation, including pledging $100,000 for COVID-19 relief efforts. So when Brett called the Buccaneers, Evans answered the call.
I left a message about Michael, telling him what happened, how big of a fan he was.
1 week later,
we've had Mike Evans write a letter to his family, and we just need you to give the address.
That package arrived unexpectedly.
It touched all of us.
But Brett's plan and Mike Evans' execution could not have been more deliberate.
Only reason why I did it was to make the family feel better.
Message received.
It means a lot to our family and something we'll always treasure.
Now, the Schiffs have one of their own messages. To return to sender.
Thank you, number one. And, we're proud of you. And keep doing the great work you're doing. Even more important than on the field, the work you're doing off the field is making a huge difference. So thank you.
Michael Schiff played football his senior year at Shorecrest. Brett convinced him to do it. One of his favorite phrases to compliment his athletic abilities? Like Mike. Gabrielle Shirley, 8 on your side.
Great story from our own Gabrielle Shirley. One more time, your poll results here. Which quarterback would you want for just this Sunday at Super Bowl 55? The winner of our poll, Patrick Mahomes, nearly 2/3 of the vote. Tom Brady coming in with just over a third, 35%. Hey, still holding about 30 or so folks, Jack Doles, that would start you on Sunday, and I'm a fan of that.
I have a really large family.
You got the participation trophy there. You came in third. Nice job.
I'm pretty sure Dr. Jen Welter did not vote for me, but we are so happy to have her on the show right now. Dr. Jen, a little background for our viewers. You were the first woman ever to be hired on an NFL coaching staff, and Bruce Arians did that back when in Arizona. Let's start there. How thankful are you for Bruce Arians, and especially when you look and see in this Super Bowl, there's so much history being made, but 2 women coaches on the Tampa Bay staff. He's got 3 coordinators that are African American. How much of a thanks and shout out should Bruce Arians get for this Super Bowl?
I think Bruce Arians is the champion for diversity in this league. He's leading the way. And all of the women who are now getting opportunities should really look to Bruce Arians and the bravery and, the stance that he took in bringing in the first woman, and that he stays consistent in doing it. So to me, he's a hero for all women, and what allyship can look like, right? Both in football and in our society as well.
And we're going to see Sarah Thomas, the first woman ever to officiate in a Super Bowl. How big of a moment is that? And when you heard that news, I'm guessing you were kind of happy.
Well, thankfully, Sarah is a dear friend. Obviously, we met her first game and mine. We're both at University of Phoenix Field, and we shook hands that day, and it solidified a friendship. And so before it was announced, she texted me and said, "Hey, sis, I need you to hear this from me first. I'm going to be reffing the Super Bowl, and I'll think of you while I'm doing it." And I had like tears of joy, and I had to hold the news until everybody else announced it, and then I could tweet about it. But just knowing her and her heart and her dedication to her craft, that blonde ponytail of hers is going to make a big statement to both women and men watching the game that day.
And I think you've really arrived as an official when both head coaches yell at you and tell you that was a horrible call throughout the game. But last year we saw Katie Sowers, the first female assistant in a Super Bowl. And I think once those small steps are taken by people like you and the ladies we've been talking about, that's when it becomes more of the norm, as it should be, because I've been covering the NFL for 25 years, and I see just as many little girls, female fans, love the game. So why shouldn't they be taking part in all aspects of the sport as well?
That's right. And, one of the big things that happened this year is the NAIA announced that they're going to have the first varsity girls collegiate flag football season. What does that mean? Now females can change the trajectory of their life and their education through playing football. So you're going to see girls across the country and the world getting in earlier, playing more often, and following the game with the same passion, love, and dedication that the guys do. And that means that we're just going to continue to see women making strides in all levels of football.
You're a trailblazer. You've been the first. How difficult is it to walk in those shoes?
I think the interesting part about it is that you have to realize the narrative isn't your own. You guys know this. When I was with Arizona, the conversation was, could a woman coach guys in the National Football League? It wasn't my name. It was a sample size of one, right? And the good thing is, when you are the first, the opportunity and responsibility is to ensure that you're not the last. And every time you check one of those boxes up, it opens hearts, minds, and open doors. And we will continue to see these women making strides because their love and passion is unparalleled. And you do know that you're there representing all of the women, like, for example, that I played with, that Katie played with, that Callie Brunson played with, Jennifer King played with, all of these women who came from the trenches of playing women's football. You know that you're there for all of your sisters in the game and all of them that will come.
And over on the NBA side, we see Becky Hammon, who got to fill in when Popovich got run from a game with the Spurs. She's even getting a look for some of these head coaching jobs, and she said the same thing as you. Let's get there, and then it won't be some of this, let's not be the first and only. Let's be the first and many more to come. But one thing I think that's really upset me for years is when the females beat me in fantasy football each and every year. So it's not just, oh, this is cute. This is a real deal. And as you said, people like you entrenched from an early age at the game of football and really love the sport.
That's right. And, I always say football is full contact chess. And women love the strategy. We love the behind the scenes. So you better watch out because they start realizing that it's full contact chess. There's going to be more and more women in all aspects, whether it's fantasy, coaching, refereeing, playing. That secret is still percolating, but you're just going to see more and more women get involved when they really start to get that full contact chess. I'm telling you, that's the key. You hear that and the women are like, wait a minute. Okay. All right.
The secret is out. You've blown it now. Yeah. You've blown it.
It'll take somebody with a vision and courage to do like you were the first. Where do you see what in a perfect world, 10, 15 years from now, do you see a woman wearing a white hat in the Super Bowl? Do you see a woman as a head coach in the Super Bowl?
Well, first I see opportunities for women to play at every level, right? And to, truly be able to get paid as pros, to be able to have collegiate careers as pros, and to follow the coaching ranks all the way up. I think you will absolutely see a woman as a head coach, and you will absolutely see whether it's Sarah or someone else continuing to lead in the refereeing, right? The most important thing is that you have great quality people at every level and that there's organizational support, right? Because if you're going to have a woman as a head coach, for example, you have to have buy-in and commitment from the organization. So she's not just there, she's there to succeed.
And that's the key, too, is when you think about these people that are the first at something, not only are they doing their best to prove themselves, they have to prove it almost unfairly for the entire gender because you can't drop the ball literally or figuratively because that might close the door for folks behind you.
That's right. And that's really where the pressure comes in, is because you are a representative by virtue of just the scarcity, right? Like if they have never seen another woman before, then you are kind of what's defining women in that space. And so it's really great to have, women like Katie, women like Sarah, women like Jennifer King, women like Callie Brunson being those women because they are top quality women.
So that being said, how much pressure will Sarah feel walking onto that field on Sunday when 100 million people are watching?
Well, I hope that what she does is really feel the confidence of knowing that she has worked her way up, and knowing that she is supported and loved by so many of us. It's obviously pressure, but the way any of us deal with big pressure moments is to focus what's in our control. Can't control the refs. You can't control the 130 million people. What you can control is micro focus on what it means to be great in your job. And the more she can stay focused in each moment, in each play, the better off she'll be. And there's not a better woman to carry that responsibility than Sarah.
It's all about the Sarahs this season. What about Sarah Fuller down there at Vanderbilt going out there, knocking home some extra points, and the way she was received, not only by the team, but nationwide as well?
Absolutely. She literally kicked down a door and she was there, because of the women who have come before her, right? Of Becca Longo, who was the first female to earn a college scholarship as a kicker, because of Kate Hindy, because of Julie Harshberger, these women who have been building and have been supporting the game so that when Sarah got her opportunity, it wasn't so rare, right? We've seen it before. She stepped in a time when her team needed her, and she did the job, and people were ready for it because there were, strong shoulders that she was propped up on.
And I know there's another set of shoulders that's very responsible for this moment. Dot, we talked about her in a conversation we had a while ago. Can you share with our viewers that tangled web she weaves in this whole story.
I sure can. So I like to say she's kind of the hidden figure or the connective tissue of Sarah Thomas, myself, and the women in football now. When I first met Bruce Arians, he said that when he was coaching in college, he met one of the best coaches he'd ever been around, who was a receivers coach at Hines College, and her name was Dot Murphy. And he said, you know, the fact that it hasn't changed in all this time, like, I really feel like, you know, we could do something about this. But, you know, her being so good at her job primed, you know, left an impression on Bruce Arians, so that when he met me, he was ready to be a catalyst for change. And when I told that story on a radio interview, I got a call from Sarah, like right after I hung up. And I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, did you say Dot Murphy? And I was like, yeah. And she said, there's only one Dot Murphy. And Dot Murphy had, you know, played on a team where her aunt had coached. So Sarah grew up with Dot Murphy. And we have lovingly said that, you know, our paths were intertwined since we met. And we realized in that moment that our paths and our destinies had been tied for years and years before that, by Dot Murphy leading the way in basketball and then in football.
Well,
great. We'll end on that. Dr. Jen, there's only one Dr. Jen Welter, a trailblazer. Thanks for joining us. I know she's writing children's books now. Speaking, just COVID, hopefully COVID goes away and we can get you back out on the circuit and see you here on Radio Row next year.
Absolutely, guys. I miss it, but I appreciate you having me on. You know, I feel like the Super Bowl came home to Florida, and we're not even getting to give it that full Florida welcome that we love football so much. I think they're going to have to bring the Super Bowl back here. That's all I'm just putting it out there.
A little pitch there, a little pitch.
I'm pretty sure they get a mulligan here. All right, Dr. Jen, thanks so much. Have a great day. Enjoy the game. And I know you're going to be watching Sarah very closely.
Absolutely. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Take care.
So, yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with her leading up to the Super Bowl here, and she's amazing. Great energy. But it's how often do you get to talk to a trailblazer?
Yeah. And that's why sports is the greatest thing ever. We talked to Jarrett about it earlier. And just you realize sports knocks down so many barriers, not just for the games, but for a country and for a globally speaking as well. Sports brings us all together. It doesn't really tear us apart, and that's a good thing. Right.
And here in a year of COVID, to get to the finish line, this was kind of a big deal that the NFL was able to do this. The sacrifice these players have had to make has been incredible. You know, Kansas City's not coming here until Saturday. Because they're going to stay in their bubble. And so it's a Super Bowl unlike any other. But once we get on Sunday and that ball kicks off and it's Mahomes and Brady, I think we all forget about COVID for a couple hours and we start looking at our number pools and bets and this and that, and it'll be a fun Sunday.
The finish line is close, but we are just getting started for this week.
Yeah, so we're gonna be here every day, Chris Hagan and I and Jarrett Payton and JB Buno, every day 1 o'clock, and hopefully we'll be outside and we'll take that tarp off. You can see the wind blowing it. That's where we want to be because we came here for some sunshine to see just how red Chris Hagan gets.
Thank you very much. Nice chairs too. I look forward to sitting in one of those.
Those will be great. Well, that'll wrap it up for today. Chris, why don't you send us off?
All right, for all of us, JB, JP, Jack Doyles, and me, Chris Hagan, thanks for logging on. Let's do it all week long, 1 o'clock Eastern on Big Game Bound.